Hello, Thunder Wizards. So, in this video, I want to talk to you about past life karma that is influencing your career, which, as you know, is connected to your soul desire and your soul purpose, right? So, in case you're not familiar with these concepts that I teach, I'll try to do this as quickly as possible. What I teach is that there's only one commandment that you must follow in this life. You don't need to follow the 10 commandments. You don't need to do anything except this one thing. This one thing is not a suggestion, it is a commandment. If you disobey this commandment, you will suffer misery in this life to some degree. That commandment is this: it is your responsibility to discover what your soul wants to do, which will give you the greatest joy. The way you know you are following your dharma, your soul command, the reason you came here, your soul contract, whatever words you want to use. The way you know you are following, quote, God's will is by doing the one thing that gives you the greatest joy and liberation in this life. Now, sounds simple, but for a lot of people, this can be very challenging. And, there's a lot of people that come onto my channel that are struggling with this. Some people figure it out, some people are working on it, and some people are just confused as hell and they think they know what it is, but they don't anyway. But that is your one commandment. If you can figure that out, you don't need to do anything else. You don't need to get an astrology reading. You don't need to follow any teachers. You don't need to do anything except listen to that joy. Now, if you're like me, you're a human being. I can't always pinpoint that exactly, so I need tools like astrology, like mantra, like energy work, runes, things like that, which help guide me back to, oh yeah, that's right, that's what makes me happy, that's my greatest joy. And of course, along with that, your karma is going to be associated with that, which means that when you go after your greatest joy, all of the challenges of your fears, your past life issues, your present life, growing up, all of the things that you believe wrongly about yourself and your relationship to the universe, when you go after your soul desire, all these things will come up and try and stop you. But you're here to learn. So by overcoming those things fearlessly, doesn't mean you don't have any fear. It just means that you act fearlessly in overcoming them. You burn off all your karma. You achieve enlightenment. Okay? So there's a technique to figure out. There's numerous techniques. So many different techniques to figure out what your career is in Vedic astrology. By the way, I'm talking about Vedic astrology. So if you're on here talking about Western astrology and you want to take what I say and apply it, it's not going to work, because Western astrology is different and in a bunch of different ways. This technique only works with Vedic astrology, which is Indian astrology. Go up here to astrology.thunderwizard.com if you want to find out how to do that. And if you want to figure out what your soul desire in your career is, go to career.thunderwizard.com. Okay, so this technique, and for those of you who are my astrology students or my astrology apprentices, you can bring this into your readings. This will be a valuable tool. And again, anybody who wants to work with me or my apprentices, go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. So, the fifth house in Vedic astrology, which is the fifth house from your ascendant, in Vedic astrology, that is your past life house. That will tell you the past life issues and circumstances that brought you into this life. It's in your past life, your fifth house. So I have got my chart here, and we're going to take a look at that. Now, what's interesting is you're going to think that I created my name, the Thunder Wizard, based on looking at my chart. And had I done that, had I looked at my chart and said, oh, I'll call myself that, because that's what I'm supposed to do based on my past life karma and my blah, 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 my career, it would have been perfect. But this is the great thing about Vedic astrology. If you really look at all the different things, at some point, these coincidences line up, and it's undeniable. There's a real science to this. So here's the technique. You look at your fifth house. Your fifth house lord, okay? To explain that, each house has its own sign. Each sign is ruled by a planet. So you look at the fifth house, and the lord of that sign, which is a planet, you find out where that planet is. If that planet is in the fifth house, great. But it might not be. It might be in the first house, might be in the 12th house, might be in the 8th house. You go and you look to see where that planet is, and then you look at what that planet is like. And what, all the associations with that house, and with that sign, and with that planet, and that will tell you. So, bear in mind, what does you see up here? You look up here, you see Thunder Wizard, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I got 4 different links, connected to that same website, which I've had for, over 10 years. Right? Thunder Wizard. So, when you look at my chart, you're going to see that this is, I'm not just making this up. So, the other thing I want to get to before I look at that is I want to explain something about past life karma and what it is you're supposed to do. So, I have come to the conclusion that career, first and foremost, needs to be associated with what gives you the greatest joy. So let me be clear about that, because we have a lot of shame in this society concerning joy and pleasure. And based on 2,000 years of Abrahamic guilt-ridden Christianity nonsense, people think that in order to please God, they have to go and serve and do all kinds of horrible garbage and all that kind of stuff, and that being a good person means working your ass off and not being happy and being miserable. And you go on vacation, you reward yourself, and that's not how life is designed. Life is designed for you to be free and happy and full of joy. And you are supposed to be encouraged by your family, your friends, your society to go, well, what makes you happy? Go do that. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. But that is the commandment. Okay? So, if my theory is correct, then your past life karma is going to be pushing you towards a career which will do 2 things. It will burn off all of your karmic debt, and it will give you the greatest joy, and it will be the most helpful. It will be the way that you are the most helpful to the world, because here's the great thing. If you go after what gives you the greatest joy, by just by doing that, you automatically help everybody. So you never have to make a choice between what I'm supposed to do to help the world and what I want to do for myself. You never have to make that decision. If you are struggling with that decision, you are out of alignment with your soul. That is why you are miserable. Your soul wants you to be happy. Now, for people that struggle with it, again, I ask a lot of people, and I won't go through it, but I go through a formula of I ask them a bunch of questions. If this, and this, and you could do this, what is it that you want to do? If after asking those questions and asking people what they want to do, if they say, I don't know, I know that they're in conflict. They're in conflict with their karmas. Their karmas, they are fighting with are trying to prevent them from having their own happiness, and they can't tell the difference. So going after your joy is no easy matter. Sometimes it's very frightening. It's very painful and frightening. So let me get rid of the whole everything is love and light nonsense. Going after your joy, depending on how much karma and present life psychological baggage you have, the more karma and psychological baggage you have, the more frightening, the more painful, and the more challenging it will be for you to go after your joy. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. So the only thing left to do is to go after your joy and feel all the pain. If you are, forgive me for saying so, we all are to a degree, if you are a coward, if you do not face your fears and your unresolved psychological issues fearlessly and you seek to escape from them, you are digging yourself into a deeper hole, taking yourself further away from your joy, and you are creating more karmas. Next time around, it's going to be even more difficult. Okay? So, simple thing, let's get back to the simple thing. Your karma, which you have to pay off, is going to be shown to you by giving you something that gives you joy. By going after the thing that gives you joy, you find out what your career is, you find out how to burn off your karma, you find out how to work through all of your psychological baggage, and you help others. Because karma, the way you burn off karma is through service. Your career is your service to the rest of the universe. And by serving the rest of the universe, you pay off your karma. So Christianity is right. To get God's approval, you have to go and serve others. That is true. But instead of serving others through hard work and being miserable, you serve others by making first and foremost your own happiness the most important thing in this world. And then there will be something in that either teaches people how to do that, or by doing that you lift the load off of others. Okay? All right. Well, that's a long-winded way of saying something. So, fifth house, the Lord of the fifth house, find out where the Lord of the fifth house is in your chart, and that will tell you what your career is, at least the essence of it, what it will accomplish in the world, and other things. So, what did I say up here? Thunder Wizard. That's my name, Thunder Wizard. Let's take a look at my chart, shall we? So, here is my Vedic astrological chart. Oink. All right, so you can't see me, but I want you to be able to see everything in this. If you look here, look for where you see the number 9. All right, it'll be on the bottom left-hand corner. In the bottom left-hand corner, you see the number 9. Okay, that's my fifth house. You see the letters K-E in there, right? Ke means Ketu. Ketu is the south node of the moon. The south node of the moon, you have Rahu and Ketu. If you look directly opposite that, you go diagonally up, you see Ra in the number 3, which is the 11th house. That is Rahu. Rahu and Ketu are the same being. Rahu is the head, Ketu is the tail. This being, known as Rahu Ketu, the serpent, determines what brings you into your physical life and what takes you out of your physical life. So, as it so happens, Ketu, the planet that is responsible for your liberation from the physical world. Ketu literally represents physical death and all the things associated with that, taking you out of the physical world. Ketu represents the monk, the nun, the spiritual practitioner who is holed up in a cave somewhere or in an ashram or out in the forest with a begging bowl, whose only interest is to achieve spiritual liberation. They don't care about the physical world. Ketu means taking you out of this physical world. So here I have Ketu, and you see the number 9 there. That means Sagittarius. That is a Jupiter sign. So this is a very spiritual sign. I'm talking about my own chart, so forgive me. It sounds if I'm bragging, but it's a fact. Ketu in Sagittarius is a very spiritual sign, because the sign of Sagittarius is the sign of the priest. So here you have spiritual liberation combined under the sign of the priest. So this means that in a previous life I was probably a monk priest, probably a celibate monk priest, and so this is whatever that happened in that past lifetime has brought me into this lifetime, and the karma associated with that is what I have to accomplish in this life in order to achieve my liberation in this life. So, to find out what my career is, you look for Jupiter, because you see the Sagittarius, that number 9, is lorded over by Jupiter. So where is Jupiter? If you go to the bottom right, you see the letters J-U-R, and then you see the number 12. 12 is Pisces. That is a Jupiter sign also. So the difference between Sagittarius and Pisces, which are both the signs lorded by Jupiter, Sagittarius is Jupiter being the priest, helping others, teaching others, doing rituals, spiritually guiding, teaching spiritual concepts, all those things associated with being a priest. The 12th sign, which is Pisces, represents, similar to Ketu, it represents inner spiritual experience and leaving this planet, because the 12th sign is the original placement for the 12th house. So it has all the associations with the 12th house. Leaving this world, connecting to the other world, the dream state, achieving liberation, all that kind of stuff. So here you have Jupiter in the 12th sign. Now you see Jupiter has this kind of orange color to it. And I'm assuming what that means is that Jupiter is retrograde. I do have retrograde Jupiter in my chart. So what does that mean? When you have Jupiter, who is normally the priest is very kind, very loving, very tolerant, very patient, like Santa Claus or a really happy grandfather, somebody who's always wanting to give you the candy and giving you good things in life. When Jupiter becomes retrograde, it's like the priest turns into the warrior. And in this case, the only kind of warrior that Jupiter becomes is a warrior against negativity, specifically against evil spirits. So retrograde Jupiter represents a demon fighter. Now, a demon fighter in Pisces represents somebody who fights against negativity that is getting in your way of spiritual liberation. So Jupiter retrograde in Pisces means Jupiter, the priest, is now the warrior who is fighting off the demons that keep you from spiritual liberation. Now, what house is retrograde Jupiter in Pisces placed? That is the 8th house. What is the 8th house? The 8th house is the house of mystery, the house of the unconscious, the house of deep secrets, the house of deep esoteric magic, black magic, the house of warfare. If you have Mars there, it's the planet, it's pure warfare. So here you have all of the things associated with Jupiter going to war. To do what? To achieve liberation. And that's what I do. You see that my whole purpose for sharing all of these things, at some point I will come down to, this is what will help you when you leave this life to achieve enlightenment. You hear that's a theme I keep talking about. So as you know, my past as a young man growing up, I was an exorcist, and then I learned the spirit fighting practices, which is another form of exorcism, learning to fight demons with my bare hands. I learned how to do that. So that tells you who I am. That my career in this life, and career doesn't necessarily mean what you do for money. This is important to understand. In ancient times, career meant who you were, right? John the plumber, so-and-so the smith. People's last names, Smith, Cooper, Baker. A cooper is a guy who makes barrels. A baker is somebody who bakes. A smith is somebody who makes swords and horseshoes and works with metal. You were what you did. So my career is the Thunder Wizard, and this is what I've been my whole life, even if it wasn't how I made my money. That was what I did. I was I went into seminary, and then I became an exorcist, and then I got out of Christianity and went right into esoteric Taoist spirit fighting martial arts, and I learned how to fight demons with my bare hands and blah blah blah. And here I am now as the Thunder Wizard, and I'm teaching you all the things that I've learned so that you can go up against all of your fear-based, victim-based nonsense, right? And you see me, I get angry. I get angry at victims, which is, a priest wouldn't do that. A priest normally is, I know it's very challenging and I'm sorry you're going through that, and life is good and life is wonderful. But when Jupiter turns retrograde, he says, knock it off, don't be such a pussy. Right? Which is, I'm a challenging teacher for people. It has always been my experience that anybody who has any, connection to me on anything other than a superficial level, they go through transformation. I mean, there are some, I've gone on a couple of dates, I haven't said anything, and I'll just be sitting there talking, and they just go, I don't know, there's just something about you, I can't, and they just start coming apart at the seams. Find out later they got a lot of unresolved stuff. So this is just who I am. So now that's just an example. For those of you who are my let's move me peek around over here. Those of you who are my, sorry, I don't want to do that, I want to do this. Those of you who are my astrology students, you can use this. So whenever you do a reading, if you want to help people find out, number one, what the past life issue is that has brought them into this life and what their career is, again, here's what you do. You look at the 5th house, you look at the Lord of the fifth house, which is the planet that is lording over the sign of that 5th house. You find out where that planet is placed, and then you look at everything associated with that. What is that planet like? What sign is it in? What house is it in? What are the aspects to that planet? What other houses? All the things that you would normally do when you're doing a chart. Aspects and other associations. So now you know why I'm called the Thunder Wizard. Now you know why I get so aggressive when I sense people are in emotional denial, when I sense people are victims. Now you know why I have such little patience with people who come on my channel and don't want to get serious, because if you look at the 5th house with Ketu, one of the things about Ketu is that Ketu wants to get to the truth. And Ketu, the bad sign, like Ketu in his bad, if he's, the negative side of Ketu is a terrorist. Somebody who shows up with a suicide terrorist with a bomb strapped around their chest and blows themselves up in order to promote some spiritual agenda. Means that he or she wants to get to the truth and will destroy whatever is in between them and the truth. Now that's the bad side. The good side is, Ketu says, listen, I just want to get to the truth. So you see here in the 5th, Ketu in Sagittarius means that when it comes to religion, because the 9th house and Sagittarius represents religion, when it comes to religion, I just want to get to the truth. I don't care about dogma. I'll blow it up. I'll destroy dogma to get to the truth. And so that's also why in my spiritual teaching and my communication, I don't have time to placate you or I just get to the truth. If you can't handle it, go to another channel. That's where all this stuff comes from. Now, I got to tell you that this aspect of me, this intensity, makes it difficult for me on a social level, because I can't sit in a sports bar next to some guy drinking a beer who wants to talk about, a bunch of people who are, mortal enemies because they're wearing different colored jerseys and they're throwing a ball around over some, arbitrary line. I can't tolerate it because it's so superficial. There's just no reality to it. I like things like surfing because, you can't fake that. There's nothing arbitrary. You either surf the wave or it throws you under the water. I like mountain climbing. I like martial arts because you can't bullshit those. You either know how to do it or you don't. And if you don't know, there's a consequence. Just get straight to the truth. I'm that way with my spirituality. I'm that way with my communication. So the other thing that we want to look at is the Aruda. So remember, I keep saying that if you want to understand your how to make the most out of your career, then you need to look at your Aruda. So, what is my Aruda? We can look at that as well. We look up at we look up here at the, sorry, I'm trying to go somewhere where you can see me. So if you go up to the third house, which is going to be at the top left, you see that Mars is there in the third house. The third house is the house of communication. So whenever you have Mars in the third house, and by the way, check this out. You know, have you ever watched Hell's Kitchen? Gordon Ramsay. Guess who else has Mars in the third house? Gordon Ramsay. I love watching that because I relate to him. I feel for those people. But what you find out is that when he's not cooking in the kitchen and doing that, he's actually a very nice person. He's very nice, and you know, he's very sweet and he's very giving. But when he is on and doing his thing, he pushes people, and he's very, you know, cussing at them and calling them names and pushing them to perfection. And he has no tolerance for anything other than perfection. Except when you see when they do something good, he says, that's really good. Congratulations, keep doing that. His communication is Mars. Mars in the third house means that you communicate, and you communicate very directly and very harshly, and you have no tolerance. I have no tolerance for people who can't communicate from their feelings. This is why when people come onto either my live Q&A or onto my YouTube channel and they don't communicate their feelings, I eviscerate them. Have you ever noticed that? And it's because if I can know, my job, I want to help you. This is the thing you got to understand about me. I want to help you. And my job is I'm going to push you to be as real. Ketu wants to get to the truth. Mars has no tolerance, the warrior, because people's lives are on the line. You know, if people will die if you don't get this right. If you don't get over your victimhood issues are, you know, it's going to destroy your life. And I have no tolerance for that for you. I have no tolerance for people who don't want to make their life better. If you want to be a victim, go somewhere else. I have no tolerance for it. That's Mars in the third house. Mars in the third house, the communicator, the person who communicates directly and harshly. And in the seventh sign there, in Libra, has to do with balance. It's Venus creating a balance. So I'm a shaman. So I'm the warrior shaman who communicates directly the truth. Now, you combine that with the fifth house career significator, which says, the fifth house says that I am the monk, priest, who's come into this life to become, in my career, the lightning wizard. The eighth house would be the wizard. Jupiter retrograde in Pisces. The lightning wizard who teaches how to achieve liberation from this world. So when Jupiter goes retrograde, he becomes harsh as well. He fights demons. He fights them to the death. He destroys them. So this is who I am. How I do it, you look at the Aruda. The Aruda is Mars in the third house in Libra. The warrior shaman who speaks directly and forcibly and without any, no holds barred. So you put those two together, that makes me a pretty intense person. So that's why I am now. The reason why I'm sharing all this is not to brag, but to help you understand that the things about you that make you who you are, and now I don't need to have this up here because you've looked at it. The things about you that make you who you are oftentimes going to be things that are very uncomfortable for you. Everything that I've just explained to you is very uncomfortable for me. And when I spent, my adult life hiding from my warrior shaman, retrograde Jupiter nature, I kept it a secret. Nobody knew that I was doing all of this stuff. But everybody knew that I was very intense. I was an actor. So, fifth house is also acting, past life, and all that. And so, Ketu represents mastery of that. So I was an actor, but I always acted very intense stuff. And so that's how I got it out. But what was frustrating for me is if I tried to have normal relationships with people, my intensity was more than most people could handle. And, if I wasn't doing things to express Jupiter in the 8th house and Mars in the 3rd house, you can imagine that energy built up and I became a very challenging person to be around. I became very angry and I would blurt out things and explode on people and all that kind of stuff, trying to communicate. So this is at being the teacher that I am, coming on here on YouTube and dumping all of this and doing all the things that I do. It allows me in my normal life to be very sweet, and because if you ever meet me, if you ever see me or meet me outside of my teaching, you will see a very different person than the way I am. And so this is important. The message here is, if you don't allow yourself to express these things that might be challenging for you, that it builds up so much energy in me, it makes me very uncomfortable. When I was younger, I had to act. I had to go and play King Lear or Hamlet or something and get it all out just so that I could function. Whatever your situation is that creates that energy within you, if you don't release it, it's going to make you uncomfortable. If you deny it and turn it inward, it can make you insane, emotionally challenged, or physically sick, or all three. So this is why it is not a choice. It is a commandment. Following your path that gives you the greatest joy is a commandment. If you do not follow it, you will suffer consequences in this life and in the next. Because whatever you don't accomplish in this life is going to become your 5th house in your next life, which is going to determine again how you create freedom for yourself and freedom for others. So I'm learning to accept this. And now I have this avenue through which I can be this aggressive, stubborn, egotistical speaker of the truth who throws lightning bolts at that which prevents you from having your own liberation. I am far more interested in telling you what will be helpful for your liberation than I am in you liking me. If you hate me, if you can't stand me, that's okay with me, as long as the message gets to you. Now the question is, are there things I can do to improve that? Of course there are. But this is my nature. I will always be this way until the day I die. Next life, we'll see. Okay? All right. So that's it for now. So hopefully you got some information from that. But if you want, here, let me get rid of my chart. You don't need to look at it now. If you want an astrological reading from me or from one of my apprentices, go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. If you want to find out what your purpose is, your soul desire and your soul purpose that brought you here to not only achieve your own karmic liberation, but to help others along their way, go to career.thunderwizard.com. And this is going to be something we'll talk about more in depth on the Q&As. We won't do it on the free Q&As, but for those of my students or anybody who's interested in learning Vedic astrology and to applying these principles, go to thunderwizard.com and sign up at the Manifestation Mastery Course level, because there I'm going to have once a week live question and answers where you can ask me very specific things. If you want to bring up your chart and say, in my chart, blah, 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 well, I will get into depth. I don't do that on the free channel because That's more general information for everybody. But if you want to sit in on a master class, sign up for the thunderwizard.com Manifestation Mastery course. And if you already are following what I teach, go sign up there, because I'm going to keep uploading videos to that channel, as well as those live Q&As, which are master class in shamanism, astrology, energy work, all that kind of stuff. Okay? All right, so that's it for me for now. I'm feeling full of it, so maybe I'll make some more videos today. But that's it. I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks.